What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, continuing a deep dive into all things Crosby, Stills, and Nash, which is a subset of my deep dive into all things Neil Young. Today, I have a live album I'm going to review, not play music from, kind of scratch my head in bewilderment at some of the choices that are made on this live album. And yeah, that's it, because I'm just trying to cover everything that's somehow tangentially related to Neil Young. We're now in the Crosby, Stills, and Nash corner of that universe, or we're on that limb of that tree. Yeah, think of it as a tree. So today I'm going to talk about Allies, a 1983 single LP live album. I think that's important because of some of the choices that are made. Had this been a double LP, I think some of the choices are less head scratching, but being that it's a single LP, a little weird. This was on, a lot of this was recorded on their tour for the album that they just released, Daylight Again, all from the Universal Amphitheater show in Los Angeles in Universal Studios. Pretty sure my mom was at that show. Pretty sure we had a babysitter. Pretty sure she went to this. I know we had this album, Daylight Again, and I'm pretty sure my mom went to this show. So yeah, but that's not all that's on this album. Yes, we have what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs, only 6 songs from this Universal Amphitheater show. We also have 2 songs from a 1977 tour. We also, because it's a live album, have 2 studio tracks, because of course we do. Why wouldn't we? In fact, let's put those first on this live album. And then, even though we only have a single LP and we have this whole body of work, I've seen the set list for this show, pretty healthy set list. They played a lot of songs. We're going to drop 2 covers on here. Yes, in the CSN world, they're kind of iconic covers. One of them was sort of a huge David Crosby moment. The other one has been a CSN and Y even staple going back to the 70s. But still, you got 1 single LP of live music. You have an entire show to pull from. You have 2 studio tracks and you give us 2 covers. I don't know. It's a little head scratching to me. Plus, one of these is one of the worst things I've ever heard. Absolutely sacrilegious what they do to one of these songs. A Buffalo Springfield song to boot. So, and my final complaint about this, I have compliments. There were some good performances on here. This could have been a much better release, is my point here. My final complaint, all the source material for the live stuff comes from radio simulcasts, live simulcasts. So they didn't go out of their way to record stuff. It was really just like, hey, these simulcasts are already sitting around. Let's cut them up and paste them together and throw in some studio tracks and drop this. It just seems like one of the most shameless filler, let's drop a live album and make some money grabs ever. I'm assuming they did pretty well on the Daylight Again tour. They were playing amphitheaters mostly. Live music amphitheater culture in the 80s was fantastic. I went to a lot of shows, especially in Southern California, where the shows I went to were, the vibe was fun. People were drinking, they were indulging in other things, they were having a good time. I don't care what band I saw, it was always a good time. A lot of the shows were the same, it felt like, almost very Crosby, Stills, and Nash, kind of safe adult rock with like sort of obligatory jams thrown in and, you know, covers and sing-alongs. Crosby, Stills, and Nash checks all those boxes. But it's not bad. There's some good stuff on here, but there's also some really frustrating stuff on here. So, opens up with 2 studio tracks, because of course it does. It's a live album. The first track is War Games, which was supposed to be used in the movie War Games, the Matthew Broderick, Ali Sheedy movie, which is a pretty good movie. It wasn't. I don't know why. I guess a decision was made at some point, and so Crosby, Stills, and Nash was like, well, we got to use it somewhere. Let's drop it on our live album. It's bland 80s soundtrack rock, kind of sound like it wants to be holding on to a hero. Is that what it is? Holding on for a hero? Holding on for a hero. That Footloose song seems like it wants to be that, but it's not even as good as that. So rank that and then rank this lower. That's, I think, where this belongs. And then Raise a Voice is just bland 80s pop yacht rock. Got some nice Stevie sounding harmonica, that really nice high chromatic sounding harmonica, but that's the high point. Pretty two forgettable studio tracks, both written by Stills, raised a voice by Stills and Nash. Crosby apparently was not present for a lot of this, both performance wise, other than the 77 stuff, just because of his own personal health problems. Like physically present, possibly, but maybe not just involved. So we start off with two studio tracks. Then we turn to the live stuff, and we have two live songs from the 82 Universal City show. Turn Your Back on Love, which I believe was the opening number. It's the opening number on Daylight Again. Stills is playing is kind of good. Sound is not bad, but it's kind of flat. Nothing special, not horrible. Do I Need It? The energy kind of picks up towards the end of the song. The crowd goes crazy, but I don't know. Doesn't do much compared to the studio version, I would argue. But then we get a really interesting choice that I think just falls too early on the album. A song called Barrel of Pain, a Graham Nash song. It has this, it's a protest song. It's got some sort of slightly poppy, funky yacht rock vibe-ish. But then it has this whole thing at the end where not Graham Nash or not Stephen Stills or not David Crosby, but one of the musicians in the band named Michael Finnegan goes off on this rather long sort of preaching pseudo rap, but not rap, rant where he's kind of working the audience up and yelling these things. And it's kind of a, there's energy in here and it's kind of a moment, but it comes too early. It doesn't involve C, S, or N. And he gets a big chunk of time. It's kind of weird. Interesting. Just doesn't work where it falls on this album. Maybe on the second half, not here. And then we get Shadow Captain, the lead-off song from CSN, their 77 album. I like this song. I like that little piano motif that's in here. This one is okay. Some good energy, nice performance. I'm thinking, did maybe more songs from this tour would have been cool? Double album. Maybe a side of 70, a whole LP of 77 and a whole LP of 82. Maybe give some of this a little more weight and flushes it out. Who knows? But Shadow Captain, okay song. Then we get Dark Star, which I kind of like. Good live yacht rock. This is from 82. This is lively, really good. Almost the epitome of what an 80s amphitheater show was like is what this Dark Star performance is. The guitar riff that runs through it is fantastic. It's a pretty good rendition of this. Yeah, I kind of liked it. And this was, I think, an 82 performance. It was not played on the 77 tour for some weird reason, or at least was not played at the 77 show that the other things come from. So you think it would have been, but at least I didn't see it on set list I looked at, or at least the one set list I looked at. So we get an 82 performance of that. Then we get an 82 performance of Blackbird, which CSN and Y were doing it, or at least CSN were doing it in the 70s. It does show off their harmonies. But in this day and age, 2025, Beyonce's done it. It kind of had its cultural comeback moment because of why it was written and the problems here in the States with race relations, which are still going on today. I don't know. I don't need to hear a cover of Blackbird. But again, if this was a double LP and you threw a bunch of covers on one side, it kind of makes more sense. Or you have this little indulgent moment. Again, they do a good performance. Their harmonies are good. But at the same time, it's just Blackbird. Then we get what might be the highlight of this. I think Dark Star and this For Free, which for some reason they call it the full name, like he played for free, right? Or whatever that line is, instead of just for free. It's a cover of the Joni Mitchell song. Crosby covered it on an album in the 70s. It was kind of a hit for him. This is fantastic. This, another piece of evidence in the case that Crosby is a fascinating artist who never really got his sort of that album, which should have been one of the all-time great albums. Crosby just had moments of genius over the course of decades. Unfortunately, he had personal problems and just couldn't keep his stuff together. This is good. This is a good cover. It's a good rendition. Crosby is absolutely fascinating. Then we get Wasted on the Way, which is just a pure CSN song. It was on Daylight Again. Could have been a 70s song. Just classic. Graham Nash. But Wasted on the Way. So a little bit of a little the darker side of Graham Nash, but performed with soft Graham Nash-esque music. And then we get one of the worst things I've ever heard in my life, or at least one of the most sacrilegious things I've ever heard in my life. They close out this, and I think it was the show closer too, For What It's Worth. It's big. There's a crowd sing-along part. The production, the arrangement just robs it of its that majesty, that simplicity that the early one has, the sort of that protesty mysteriousness. There's something special about the original. They rob it. This is like Clapton doing that thing to After Midnight, or doing anything he ever did to Layla to mess with Layla. Like, this just ranks up there with one of the Police did to Don't Stand So Close to Me. This is worse than all those things. Why artists in the 80s, like, I understand you take songs and you reinvent them. Bob Dylan did it all the time. But this is kind of atrocious. And the first time the crowd sings along, what do they sing along to? There's something happening here. Hey, Brandon, what's that sound? They're all singing that part, all like, what's that sound? Nah, man, I can't do that. It is a bad way to end this frustrating release. So yeah, I kind of was not even going to review this, but I was like, this is such a fun, ridiculous car wreck of an album that I was looking forward to talking about it. 2 studio songs which just aren't that good. They're just not. Raise a Voice, the pop yacht rock song, might be better than the other one just because it is 80s pop yacht rock. War Games is not good. Turn Your Back on Love. Barrel of Pain, interesting choice. Let's do more deep cuts like this. Like, I know they were doing like Chicago and other really good songs on this tour. Why not drop some of those? Some fun Graham Nash songs. Well, this is a good Graham Nash choice. Shadow Captain, cool. Give us more 77 stuff. Dark Star works. The epitome of 80s amphitheater music. Blackbird, no. For Free, okay, good call. Wasted on the Way, not much different, but that is a good song. Why not a Southern Cross? Where's my Southern Cross? Don't give me Blackbird, give me Southern Cross. I want to hear if they do anything special with this. I like that song. There were some good songs on Daylight Again. And then For What It's Worth, I can't. It hurts me. It hurts my soul. And like, literally, I felt a little part of it being pulled out and thrown overboard off the yacht into the Pacific Ocean. All right. Yeah. So I don't recommend this album. I really recommend it just for feedback on what I'm missing out on, or just so you can experience how bad music can be. Like, within the course of 3 songs, they go for Free, which is inspired. Wasted on the Way, which is like, okay, not bad For What It's Worth, but you're like, ugh. All right, I'm just rambling at this point. This was a weird listen. If I had to rank it among any other CSNY album, it's last. Yeah, I mean, there's no way. Do they have others? I'm going to find out and review them, and they have to be better than this. But yeah, Allies, 1983 live release. It's a car wreck. That's all I got. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Peace. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.